See it thing. Well, good evening. Welcome to our Board of Mayor and Alderman meeting for Monday, December the 8th. We're going to start out with a couple of public hearings before the main meeting for some rezoning requests we have. So the first public hearing is on a request to rezone property located at 0 Wilson Avenue from C2 to R3. Is there anyone here in the public that would like to speak concerning that rezoning at 0 Wilson Avenue? Seeing none, we'll close that public hearing and open the second public hearing, a public hearing on a request to rezone property located at 0 East Deckard Street from C2 to C3. Is anyone here to speak to that rezoning? If not, we'll close the public hearings and we'll open our regular meeting. And if you would, let's stand. We'll have an invocation for Reverend Will Young.
Unto us a child is born, unto us a son is given. The government will be upon his shoulder, and his name will be called Wonderful, Counselor, Mighty God, Everlasting Father, and Prince of Peace. Let's pray. Heavenly Father, we do come before you tonight, and we humbly acknowledge the kingship and sovereign rule of your Son, Jesus, over all things. Father, we pray that you would give us grace and humility in living here and as a part of this community. Father, we pray that you would bless this meeting and this time of assembly. Father, we pray your blessing upon our Board of Mayor and Aldermen. Father, we ask that you would grant to them wisdom and grace as they discuss and decide matters that will affect our community. Father, we pray you would continue to bless our city and that you would be at work here among us, that you would be at work as you promise in your word to establish your kingdom with judgment and with justice from this time forward and forevermore. And we trust that this will happen and that you will do this. And we pray this all in Jesus' name. Amen.
Amen.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Roll call. I think we've already done the roll call, or you're doing it electronically here. We have 7 aldermen present, which is good. Let's see. So we'll start out with some recognitions here for honorary aldermen. If these gentlemen join me up here at the podium. Honorary alderman from our Mayor's Youth Council. Adrian. And Adrian Nayland. And Mike Anderson.
Ready? All right, 1, 2, 3. Let me get one more. 1, 2, 3. Got it. Thank you.
I want to brag about the Mayor's Youth Council for just a moment, and that I was in here one of the meetings the other night. They're always doing service activities. They were discussing, supporting the Angel Tree, and I just really appreciate that, guys. If you don't mind, give your name and a couple of words about what you do at the high school.
Hi, I'm Micah Anderson. I'm a senior here at Tullahoma High School. Just some clubs I'm involved in. I'm part of the band, and I'm also in Mayor's Youth Council, of course, at FCA and the Chick-fil-A Leadership Academy.
Good enough, thanks.
I'm Adrian Nayland. I'm a junior at the high school. I'm also in Mayor's Youth Council. I'm in NHS, band, soccer, and I'm in the Youth and Government Club.
Thank you, gentlemen. Thanks for being here. At this point in time, we have comments from the citizens. If any citizen is interested, you could be invited to speak for up to 3 minutes about any matter within the purview of the board. Is there anyone this evening? We didn't have anybody sign up, but is there anyone this evening that wants to address the board on any issue? All right, that's the first time in a while we haven't had someone. That brings us to approval of the agenda. Do we have a motion and a second on approving the agenda? We have a motion and a second.
I would like to make a motion to add something to the agenda at the end, just a discussion for the airport fuel spill, just an update on that. It's a little bit lengthy, and it would be better to be on the agenda rather than in the report, I think.
Okay. So what's the item going to be titled? Just update on the fuel spill?
I believe that would be good.
Anyone object to that? So Do we need a motion second on that? I don't think we need it for the agenda, so as long as, yeah, go ahead.
I also have something to add. I had tried to get this on I think our special call meeting from last month, but it was not put on there. And so I wanted to, I know that we had put it on a study session, but I really intended it for it to be on a regular meeting. So the agenda item is just a request for planning commission candidate presentations before appointment to appear before the board, the candidates. So the city of Tullahoma currently has 2 vacant seats on the planning commission. In the interest of ensuring transparency, public engagement, and informed decision-making, the board and mayor of aldermen desires all eligible candidates for these appointments be provided the opportunity to briefly present to the board and to the public. This will allow the board members and residents to better understand each applicant's qualifications, interest in serving, in alignment with the city's planning priorities. And I will pass one of these around just so that you can, I'm going to take one for,
So I will say the reason I put it on the study session is kind of, we actually, on our rules actually say that typically for this sort of thing, we're supposed to put it on a study session first and then bring it. If the board wants to put it on agenda, we can, but
Okay.
I think it would do good to have a discussion about first.
Thank you. I'm sorry.
and obviously we don't have the candidates before us. This is just kind of a preliminary. I realize that it's a mayoral pick for the planning commission, so it's just, other boards that we select candidates for, we usually, it's typical that they would come and present before the board. And I think these meetings are really more for the public. So I think it would be good for the public to hear.
So let's
What
have the debate
candidates?
on that when we have the item.
Okay.
So do we have a motion to put that on the agenda? We have a motion. Do we have a second to put it on the, so we have a motion and a second. Let's vote on that. Motion carries 6-1. All right, any other items to add to the agenda or changes to make to the agenda?
Question is a matter of order.
Yeah.
We didn't vote on the other one.
Because-
Why did we vote on this one?
Because I objected and requested a vote.
Oh,
And the other one was just an
Yeah.
right.
You can amend the agenda without objection, but I just wanted to
Right,
vote on
yeah.
that one, so.
I will say too that we, any alderman, we had the agreement or we had the understanding that this is the board's agenda and any alderman could add an item to the.
Our rules actually don't,
agenda.
our rules actually don't say that. Maybe we need to change our rules, because I'm
Yeah.
not philosophically opposed to that, but our rules do say that an alderman should bring an item to, and we've not been following this rule, so don't get me wrong. But our rules say that the alderman should bring an item to the study session first, and then two aldermen should sponsor it to put it on the agenda.
I think we changed that rule last session of the board.
Oh, well, the copy that was given to me when I came on.
Yeah,
said
they
so.
must have not
Yeah,
updated,
that's
but we
not-
changed that rule last session.
That's good to know. So maybe I need to get a new
Yeah.
copy of the rules then. Any case, it's on the
Okay.
agenda.
Sorry, but
No,
I
it's
just wanted
okay.
to make that clear.
Appreciate that.
Before we were.
So, if no other changes to the agenda, let's vote on the agenda. Okay. Seven yes. All right. Reports from the aldermen. I think I'll start with Matthew this time.
You'll have to forgive me, it's been a busy month. I attended the TAEDC meeting, heard updates on future projects, stakeholder engagement, and then also heard concerns from the board about using the UDAG loan funds for the airport cleanup. And I can address that later in the airport update. At the Arts Council meeting, they are preparing for this year's downtown Christmas window displays. There will be QR codes on participating windows to allow people to vote for their favorite displays. and to also participate in a scavenger hunt to find hidden items in the displays. The Whiskey Trail mural on Minuteman across the street has been completed, and there will be a ribbon cutting announced soon. I was able to attend both the Wobble Gobble and the Christmas Parade to assist them with safety in the roads. It's something that's incredible events every year. Thank you to the sponsors, to the chamber staff, and the chamber board for all of the efforts put into that. And if any citizens wish to volunteer for those events, contact the chamber for more information on how you can volunteer. And then also TAEDC, Mr. Bond has said that he does not want to finish his full term, but he is willing to stay on until there is an appointment made to fill his spot. So if any citizens wish to serve on that board, they could fill out a citizen participation form so that we can make that decision. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Ms. Wilson,
No report.
Ms. McGee.
Just a few things to report.
I want to remind
also-
everybody to use their mics.
I'm
I've
sorry.
had multiple citizens keep asking me about that, so.
I also attended, I had a float in the Christmas parade, and I just want to thank the chamber and the sponsors for always doing a good job with our Christmas parade. I also attended the Dustin Lynch concert for the first time, and I just want to say thank you to the family or person who gifted me and my family 7 tickets to go to this concert. I just admire the way that he gives back to his community. And lastly, I would like to say thank you to my church family, the city of Tullahoma, my fellow aldermen, the city administrator, Jason Quick, and his office staff, the school system, Vanderbilt Tullahoma Harton, this community as a whole, for your prayers, words of comfort, phone calls, text messages, food, and for just loving on my family during the loss of my daughter and her unborn son. The love that was shown helped me and my family get through what has been the most difficult season of our lives. Let us also continue to pray for the family who tragically lost 2 of their loved ones, and let us also pray for the first responders, animal control, and the officers who worked that scene. Thank you.
Thank you. Coach?
I have no report tonight.
Mr. Glick?
I just want to make sure all the citizens are aware that they can look at a copy of the strategic plan or the comprehensive plan on the website and make comments on it. But I also want to make the staff aware that I don't think that is the plan as presented, and then the Planning Commission met and made some changes. But the one that's on the website does not include the Planning Commission changes that I could tell.
Yeah, I don't know if Samuel's had a chance to update that since we did, but it'll be updated by the time we meet to have a public hearing on it.
Right, yeah, okay, I just wanted to, there might be, I just didn't want people to be surprised if they
Right.
looked on it and then they saw something a little different.
Right.
That there have been changes suggested, so, anyway, so we're waiting on the Planning Commission to approve it and send it to this body for debate and approval, hopefully, so, have that, and then, lastly, I just wanted to wish everyone Merry Christmas and Happy New Year. We won't be meeting again before either one of those. So, Merry Christmas to everybody.
Mr. Bush?
I am so excited to see Alderman McGee back.
Thank you.
She has been missed. We've all prayed for your family
Thank you.
and glad to hear things are doing better. 2 things I wanted to bring up. Now that the Country Club Kings Lane project has been completed, I'd like to again address a question that was asked me by a fellow citizen, and that was the final cost of the project and what was the estimated cost before the project began. And I'm not asking for it tonight, just maybe in the future, at the next board meeting. The other item is the Kroger parking lot. Unless it's changed here in the last 5 or 6 days, they went in and paved a strip of it, but going out between Applebee's and Fazoli's is like driving on the moon. And I know we had discussed what we as a city could do to encourage the owners of that property to take care of it in regards to the paving. So I bring that to the board's attention. Other than that, I hope everybody has a great holiday.
Thank you. Well, just a couple items on the mayor's report. I was able to participate and survive the Wobble Gobble for the Chamber 5K, so I appreciate the Chamber putting that on. We had great weather that day, great turnout. I think Jim Fuller's been trying to get to 500, and I think we hit 484. So drag 16 of your friends with you next year so we can hit 500. But that was a great event. I was very pleased to be invited to the Christmas dinner with the fire department. Thank you guys, fire department, for that. It's great food and great company. And then, of course, the parade Friday night was just excellent. We spent all week looking at the weather thinking we were going to get rained on, and it came through early, and we had a pretty cool night, but there was no wind, and it was just a really fantastic event, and just what looked like thousands of kids, because I was trying to give candy out to them, and but really, really enjoyed that. Just a couple comments on the Planning Commission. Yeah, we did meet in November only one time. Well, we only meet one time, the Planning Commission, but and so we did address some things in the planning. Of course, we'd had a study session, and then we had that regular session. And it was pointed out that we're required by law, the Planning Commission's required by law to have a public hearing on that document. So we will be doing that and then taking any feedback on that. So, but everyone's aware that we want to get it done. It'll probably be a month or two before we get it done because of the public hearings and editing on changes. So, and the public's welcome to that. Third Monday of every month at 4:30.
Will that, the public hearing be at the next meeting in January?
I don't think we declared that, but I actually couldn't remember, so I was going to ask about that, and I forgot to do it for this meeting, but we'll be sure that information gets out.
Okay.
All right. Report from City Administrator.
Yeah, several things here. I just got to say, tonight I just met Adrian for the first time, but I just want to say thank you to Micah. I remember him as a freshman. He and his mother came that summer and was curious about what THS could offer. And I remember Micah, and I remember how impressed I was with him as a freshman. And to see the student he's turned out to be and the young man, I'm just very proud of you. And I just want to say thank you. Thank you for all that you've done, and he's just done extremely well in the band and in the classroom. And so, going to be going to a four-year college, looking at engineering, and there's no doubt that he is going to be a success no matter what he does. So, congratulations, and Adrian, glad to meet you tonight. Several things here. October sales was reported recently by Ms. Wilson, and we saw our tax increase 5.5%. Versus October of 24, so that was a very good note for us. The Tullahoma Fire Department Toy Drive is still going on, and they're accepting donations through December 15th. So if you'll keep that in mind, that is the deadline. Excellent turnout for the Christmas parade, and I just want to say thank you to our Public Works Department and all of the work that they do to set that parade route up. But then more importantly, I don't know how many of you noticed, but the work that they do afterwards, despite conditions and whatnot, the cleanup that they do and the way that they restore Jackson Street and the adjoining streets back to better than ever shape. I just want to say thank you. They do an outstanding job, and very proud of them. Parks and Rec is reporting that 259 kids are registered for Junior MBA. The season will start January 6th. Recently, we kind of gave a shout out looking for coaches, and we have had all of our coaches filled, so we're very happy about that. And the same thing with our referees. So, looking for an outstanding year for the Junior MBA. A reminder: the City of Tullahoma Employee Christmas Luncheon is going to be this Friday from 11 to 1 o'clock, and that'll be at the Atlantic. And I think all of you have received an invitation. Hope the board can make that. Also, I want to say thank you to the First Methodist Youth Group. If you've noticed as you walked in tonight, the tree that is decorated in the lobby is incredible, the work that they do. They enjoy doing that. They came on Wednesday, and they've done this tree for the last 2 or 3 years, and it is just fabulous. So I hope you'll take time to look at their work. Two last things. Butch Taylor, who has been servant of this community for over, right at 30 years. He is going to be retiring. I think all of you are aware of that. He's retiring on Friday. Friday the 12th, or yeah, the 12th. But tomorrow we're going to have a retirement send-off, if you will, at Public Works, and I hope that you can attend. That's going to be from noon to 1:30. So we hope that you'll come by, and the same for the community as well. Butch has reached out and touched so many people that I hope the community will stop by and just say thank you for a job well done. And then last, Alderman McGee had mentioned this. We had a very unfortunate situation last Wednesday. And while we never want to see any kind of scene or any kind of event like that, as I was on scene, it just could not escape me the fact that we have the best set of professional, well-trained first responders in the community. And I just want to commend Chief Sons, Cheryl Rhodes, Chief Pearson, for your leadership at that scene. It was something to behold where when the chips are down, you guys showed up, and you showed up for your people, and you're still there for your people. As we know, there's still, we're still trying to get through that event. But I just want to say thank you for rising above and beyond at a very difficult time. And the city of Tullahoma owes you a great debt of thanks, and we're very proud of you. And just want to say thanks. That's my report.
Thank you. Brings us to consent agenda. Do we have a motion to approve the consent agenda? A motion, a second. Unless there's any discussion there, let's vote. Sorry. That motion carries 7-0. That brings us to unfinished business. So we have 4 ordinances to amend zoning for various parcels. This is for passage on the second and final reading. The first one, ordinance number 1667, an ordinance to amend the zoning map of the city of Tullahoma as set forth in the Tullahoma Municipal Code to rezone a parcel located at 107 South Polk Street from general commercial C2 to neighborhood commercial C3 for passage on the second and final reading. Do we have a motion and a second for that one? We have a motion, a second. Is there any discussion on this one?
Yeah,
Yes, sir.
I remember us briefly talking about in regards to filling out completed forms. I think Ms. Alderman Wilson brought it up. Can you refresh me as to exactly what is going in there?
Yep. 107 South Polk Street currently has a house on it. That house is not occupied. It's in disrepair. That house is it is being purchased by an individual. That property is being rezoned to C3. And that individual still does not yet know if he would like to use it for a commercial property, to have offices in the house, or restore it and use it again as a single family residence, or if he'd like to develop the site. He's still not 100% sure. So as it stands right now, there is a home on it, but that home is not occupied.
So we have no idea which way it's gonna go.
No.
We just. Okay. Sorry.
Okay. But all those uses are allowed in C3.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Correct. And in considering the rezone, you do have to consider all possible uses. Any use that the applicant writes down is not binding. They don't have to do they write down. When they request a rezone, you as the board have to consider all possible uses under that zoning as being a legal use of the property after it's been rezoned.
Okay. Any other discussion on this one? If not, let's vote. That motion carries 6-1. Number 5, ordinance number 1668, an ordinance to amend the zoning map of the city of Tullahoma as set forth in the Tullahoma Municipal Code to rezone a parcel located at 808 East Lincoln from general commercial C2 to neighborhood commercial C3 for passage on the second and final reading. We have a motion and a second on that. Any discussion? Any questions or discussion? If not, let's vote. It's 7-0. That motion carries. Number 6, ordinance number 1669, ordinance to amend the zoning map of Tullahoma, Tennessee to rezone a parcel located at 430, 500, a to-be-determined address and a to-be-determined address on Oakwood Road. Coffee County, we'll read the map. From medium-density residential R2 to high-density residential R3 for passage on the second and final reading. Do we have a motion second? We have a motion second on that one. Any discussion there? Mr. Thomas looks like he's looking, so I'll give him a second.
I'm trying to find what exactly is being placed on these properties. When we change the zoning, the zoning's opportunities are so broad, and it asks in the, the applications what the game plan is for it, and when it's not completed. Can you tell me what might be going in there?
So, again, anything the applicant says is not binding. They could say they're gonna build single-family houses and then put apartments, and that's their right. Once it's rezoned, it'd be a by right development. I can say on this one, I do know what is going in there. It's, I think, 1 or 2 duplexes and a couple single-family houses. This one in particular is 4 lots. There is a road that was engineered to go in, a dead-end road, Chastain Street. Chastain Street was never built or dedicated. The applicant has purchased the 4 properties that contain Chastain Street. That street is being engineered and installed. And then the 4 lots there, I believe 2 of them are going to be subdivided into 2 lots once this rezone has been approved, which will allow Chastain Street to be constructed as it was engineered, and will allow for the placement of a couple more single-family homes on this lot. The reason for the rezone is that with Chastain Street already being engineered, in order to get the homes to fit along Chastain Street as it was designed, the applicant would have to seek rezoning to a zone that allows the duplexes to be on 7,500 square feet of duplex instead of 10,000 square feet of duplex due to the constraints of the size of the resulting lots after the road's been installed.
So there's really no concern. They can just pretty well, once we change the zoning, as long as they meet the zoning, they pretty well do whatever they want to with it within that zoning restriction. Is that pretty well the
That is a
deal?
possibility, yes. Most of the time when these applications come through, there's quite a bit of discussion that goes on in my office with the applicant before the application ever gets put before you. Details of those discussions are included in my staff reports to let you know what was talked about behind the scenes. But yes, per the application, what is written in the proposed use is not legally binding, and once the property is rezoned, what is told to me does not have to be what is put on the lots after they've been rezoned. However, much of these, when we get the rezones, it wouldn't really be feasible to do anything more than the applicant's asking. A lot of these lots are smaller, and the development potential just isn't there. Now, if this was 30 or 40 acres, I could definitely see this being something else after it got rezoned, but a lot of these very small lots are, even once they're rezoned to a higher density, that's just to allow them to be utilized. It doesn't really lead to a massive development potential.
Have you changed the policies within, since we questioned you about this last meeting, to refuse any application if it's not complete?
Yes.
Okay, thank you.
Any other questions? All right, let's vote on this one. Six yes, 1 no. Motion carries. Ordinance number 1670, an ordinance to amend the zoning map of the city of Tullahoma, Tennessee, as set forth in Tullahoma Municipal Code to rezone parcel located at 603 South Franklin Street from general commercial C2 to neighborhood commercial C3 for passage on second and final reading. Motion and second on this one. Any comments or questions on this one? All right, if not, let's vote. And that one carries 6 to 1. That brings us to new business, which is a few more of these rezones. Ordinance number 1671, an ordinance to repeal in the Code of Ordinances of the City of Tullahoma, Tennessee, all of Chapter 16 regarding, this one's not the rezones, but an ordinance to repeal in the Code of Ordinances in the City of Tullahoma, Tennessee, all of Chapter 16 regarding administrative hearing officers for passage on the first of two readings. Mr. Quick.
Yes, I'm looking here. I don't see the cover page that I had included. So basically what we're looking at doing is this. When we have gone to enforce our building codes and all the property requirements that we have had somebody that has brought forth complaints, brought forth summonses, whatever, and they go to an administrative hearing officer. We're looking to get away from that for several reasons. One, there's a cost effectiveness that will go with that. Number two is scheduling is going to help us quite a bit. But I think the most important thing is by going back to the city judge as being the one that will have the authoritative power over these issues, that's going to give our people, namely Tony Mercado, give him the ability to really look at enforcing the commercial aspects such as a Kroger parking lot or other commercial issues. Right now, we've been really confined more to residential. This is going to allow us to be able to pursue those and have more authority over that. So we have met with City Attorney Worsham and City Attorney Hoskins. We've talked about this, discussed it, and also with Nick Kimbrough, and we feel like this is definitely going to be the best option for the City of Tullahoma to start having stronger enforcement of its property laws and codes.
Have you talked it over with the judge?
I have briefly said something to the judge. The way this is going to work, the judge it's just going to be added to his docket. He has traffic court, I believe it's twice a month, and we will add those to the docket as well.
Yeah, we need a motion to second on this.
I guess my other question would be, if you haven't talked to him, how do you anticipate, what are the numbers of complaints or whatever we're dealing with here that you normally deal with?
I'll let Mr. Worsham answer.
Comment on that. The city judge has always had jurisdiction over these particular kinds of code violations. We tried the administrative hearing officer route a couple of years ago to see if that would be effective time-wise and expense-wise. It turned out that it was not. The administrative hearing officer many times was enacting enormous fines against these properties because of continuing days of violation. And we've been in court a couple of times in Chancery Court over those. So the city judge looks at it a little bit differently than the administrative hearing officer did. We think it'll be more effective for him to handle these as he has for years and years and years. So it's really not changing anything he's ever done in the past. We just relieved him of that responsibility for a couple of years to investigate whether or not the administrative hearing officer route would be effective for us, and it turned out it was not.
But do you have any idea how many that the judge may see during a term?
Well, I think maybe Mr. Kimbrough might be able to answer that. Not very many.
On average, you're looking at maybe 10 to 20 per month.
Per month.
10 to 3.
I guess my questions on this are, I remember when this took place and when we went the route of the administrator, and it was supposed to be the thing that was going to solve a lot of problems we had, and it was going to be the best route to go, and we tried that. Now, when we tried it and it did not work, are we sure that it is the process that does not work, or does it potentially was the individual that we had as the administrative hearing officer? And if there was a different person, maybe it would work like you thought it would originally, or, can you give me a background on that?
I'll have to defer to either Mr. Worsham. I guess to Mr. Worsham, he would be the one that would have had that previous experience.
Yeah, I think it was both the process and the person, frankly. The law establishing the right of municipalities to have administrative hearing officers is different from the general law that we usually would follow in case of code violations. And so the process as well as the person who was selected were problematic for us. And he didn't come here very often. He had a large document. He did come here, and it just was not effective. So we're going to try back to the city judge again. If that doesn't work, we can always review different alternatives.
So we think that would be the best route, other than trying a different administrative hearing officer?
I recommend that we allow the city judge to handle these for a while and see how that works out. He's done it in the past.
Okay, I just didn't know why we changed in the first place.
I'm not necessarily opposed to it at all, but I think out of the courtesy to the judge, wouldn't you think he'd like to know what he's now going to be doing?
I'd be happy to discuss it with him between now and the next meeting, if you like. and I'll
I'm
do
just
that.
thinking out of courtesy, he may say.
I think
it's
Mr. Quick has
great.
mentioned
Have
it to
you-
him before.
It's been briefly mentioned. I wanted to see what happens here. I go back to these 10 to 20 cases. I'm not sure if they're actually per month, but I think, if I'm not mistaken, Mr. Kimbrough, some of those cases, we would have enough cases where the AHO would come versus him coming for one case one time, because we had so much cost involved with travel and his appearance fees. So I think you're going to see more timely resolution, which I know in some of the times that I've been up here during those hearings, it seems like some of these fines and infractions occurred some time back. And so I think this will be a more prompt response. I think if you can go ahead and start the expectation of prompt infraction, prompt resolution, and adjudication, I think that's probably going to have a better impact on our enforcement of codes, and then hopefully see a reduction in code violations overall.
So just as just to kind of summarize for me, that you think that this is the best route to go now, and that you think it was probably more than just the person that was in there, it was the process, and we are better served by the old process.
I think the city, and more importantly, I think the citizens will be more or better represented, and their interests are going to be better served. Because if you think about it, some of these fines accrue on a daily, weekly basis, and so those numbers get out of hand very quickly. And if you have a case where the judge, made a ruling, or the hearing officer made a ruling, and then there's not another rehearing of that showing that some of the work that needed to be done on that property occurred, those fines are going to continue to rack up until that next hearing. And honestly, that causes some discord with the community, which I would fully understand, where if somebody has completed the work that needed to be done, and then those fines still rack up because they're waiting for the hearing officer to come back, that creates an issue. Now, one of the things we have done, I guess I don't know how far back it goes, but the city administrator does have the ability to reduce fines when there's work that has to be done. And so when those fines are accruing, what has been typical and historical is the fines would be reduced to 10% of whatever those fines had accrued to. And quite honestly, we've seen some fines that were just, they were astronomical, and even the reduction down to 10%, it was hard for some people to swallow, which I would get.
Can you tell me, how often does the current person come in and hear these cases?
Nick, what would you say?
Sometimes he would come once a month, sometimes he might not be here for 3 or 4 months.
Yeah.
Okay, so he's not here upon our request. He's here. We're here at his mercy. Is that what you're saying?
Yeah.
Okay, I
To add
understand.
to this, I think that probably in terms of the enforcement of our ordinances, to have someone who's familiar with our community and lives here like Judge Conley, probably even familiar with some of these properties, I think it's just more effective and a little bit more personal than the other way, and I think this is going to work well. But we have another reading in January, so between now and then, we can talk with Judge Conley about this and make sure that it suits well with him.
Yeah, I'll have a
And it's not gonna
response.
increase his workload significantly because he,
Yeah.
he's already here anyway for those, and these cases aren't very long and ordinarily a little bit more involved in them than we were with the administrative hearing.
And so the expectation is basically, from a traffic court perspective, he'll have 2 dockets. He'll have a traffic court docket. Once that docket is completed, then they'll have the codes and violation docket. And so it'll be almost two different courts, but at one time.
I have a quick question. Will this result in the cost savings for the city?
Yes. Definite cost
What would you
savings.
estimate that would be?
I'm looking at my friend Nick.
So with the administrative hearing officer, we had to pay him, given I don't have the numbers in front of me, but we had to pay him just to show up, and then he was also paid per case that's
Mhm.
occurred.
I can get you those I will get you those numbers before the next agenda as well.
Sounds good,
Yeah.
thanks.
I do remember Nick and I looked at them, and I wish I could tell you off the top of my head, but when we started doing the math, it was pretty eye-opening.
Okay.
Any other questions?
You got
Sensley?
one in the back there, Taylor.
I've been over planning code department interim 4 times in 30 years as the director. I have carried cases before the administrative hearing officer. He, trying to be diplomatic here, was a very hard person to get along with, even with us dictating what we felt, you know, for the particular case and I had carried, like I said, I've carried several cases before him. And as Jason has said, the fines were way outside and the cost that he charged us. And I'm not saying that's not the route we need to get back to, but in this case, I think it was a lot of the personality of this particular person that was used. And, it was very tough, and I've sat and listened to how he talked to citizens, and wasn't very good.
Thank you for that.
I just want to reiterate too, something that Mr. Worsham had said. I think having somebody here locally in our community who understands the community itself, the violations, I think that brings an extra bit of understanding to the case, as opposed to someone that doesn't have an idea of what property they're talking about, what address, how the neighborhood looks, the impacts, and those kind of things.
It's also a good thing that that person is elected.
Correct. Yes, sir.
One other thing I would add, I've carried several cases in front of Judge Conley for years, and the way Judge Conley runs his court, typically, unless he's changed in the last several years, I hadn't done any in a while, he'll generally ask whoever wants to plead guilty, traffic people, they all line up, jump up in line and get through there and pay their fine and get out the door. And then he'll get to the other cases,
Yep.
so.
Yep. All right. Any other comments? All right, let's vote. Seven yes. All right. That brings us to item 10, ordinance number 1672, an ordinance to amend the zoning map of the city of Tullahoma to rezone a parcel located at 0 Wilson Avenue from general commercial C2 to high-density residential R3 for passage on the first of 2 readings. Staff report on this one? Well, actually, let's get a motion second on that. But let's see, 2.
Okay.
Go ahead.
Yeah, this one is a bit of a unique item. This parcel is currently being taxed as one parcel, map 124P, group D, parcel 38. It's actually multiple parcels. Coffee County lets you, and many other counties, let you congregate multiple parcels under one tax ID if they're all under the same owner to simplify the tax process. However, these are already unique parcels that have been created. There are some that are on Wilson Avenue and some that abut the road to the south of Wilson Avenue. These parcels are approximately 50 feet wide by about 100 feet deep. I believe last time I looked, there's either 10 of them that are there. I don't have the map right in front of me, but they've already been created. They haven't been built on yet, but the owner of those properties would like to have the property rezoned so that those parcels would be legal and that they could be utilized for single-family residences. They are right next to a commercial building, and they are similar in size to the surrounding lots to the south and to the west. To the north is vacant land. There's nothing to the north on that side of Wilson Avenue. But to the south, there's a lot of similarly sized parcels. The applicant does not intend to dissolve all of these parcels together and then redivide them out and do something different with them. The applicant would just like to use the parcels as they currently exist, but because they have not been developed on, they don't get that legal non-conforming status because they're vacant right now. So by rezoning them to R3, it'll let them be used for what the applicant intends and what the original intent for the parcels were when they were created many years ago.
Any questions? Ms.
I
Wilson?
do. I guess, when I'm looking at the size of the parcels and they're smaller parcels, and all of the area around the parcels are designated R1. And then the applicant says on the application plans are to build single-family houses on each lot. So I guess my question is, why are we zoning this R3?
So this one has to be zoned R3 because R3 is the only zone that these parcels comply with. We can't zone a parcel a zone that it does not comply with. They're too small for R1 and R2. So rather than require the applicant to combine the parcels and then come back again to re-subdivide them and create new parcels of record and go through that entire process to get them to comply with R1 or R2, rezoning it to R3 allows them to comply with R3 and have them be within those requirements. A lot of the parcels around these lots also don't comply with R1. They were just put in R1, but they're actually legal non-conforming parcels. They don't meet the dimension requirements for R1, but they've existed since the 70s. So a lot of these parcels, they're not any risk to the property owners. I want to make that clear. But that's the reason why we had to choose R3. R3 was the only way we could get these parcels to be conforming and get them out of that legal nonconformity so we can get those houses built on them.
Sounds good, thank you.
Any other questions? All right, not, let's vote on this one. Seven yes. That motion carries. The next one, ordinance number 1673, ordinance to amend the zoning map to rezone a parcel located at 0 East Eckerd Street from general commercial C2 to neighborhood commercial C3 for passage on the first of two readings. We have motion second on that. Motion and a second. Okay. Staff report on this one?
This parcel is on Deckard Street. It is just south of I believe it's the grain storage area. Just a side note, whenever I do these rezonings, I send out mailers to every address within 100 feet of the property that lets the owner of that property know that the rezone is taking place. With this one on Deckard and with a lot of the ones that I have sent out, I do get phone calls from residents who have received these letters, and all of the residents are quite pleased with the fact that it's being rezoned. This area on Deckard has a lot of single-family houses that are currently in C2 zone. Across the street is a residence. The people that live in this part of Tullahoma, they don't want commercial parcels next to them. They want other residential parcels. By rezoning this property to C3, we'll allow it to be utilized as a residential parcel. It can have a single-family residence on it. But if that area of Deckard of the city of Tullahoma on West Deckard Street and East Deckard Street were to ever get purchased and bought out, by leaving them in C3, it gives that property owner a little bit more viability for their property. And if for whatever reason that area were to develop commercially, it still has that potential. But in the residents that I've talked to, both from the mailers and the signs I've put out, they're all in favor of those properties being rezoned to C3 because they want to see another residence there and not commercial.
I have a question.
Yes, ma'am.
So again, why not R1 instead of C3 if they want to do residential?
Because the surrounding properties are all commercial. And so instead of having the zoning be all commercial and then one spot of residential and then more commercial, it made more sense to keep with the flow of zoning to have it be a C3 zone where you can have residential and commercial. We have multiple areas like this in the city that are up against industrial districts. This one's up against is a railway. Right next to it, just north of it, is that grain storage. Putting it into the C3 zone instead of a residential zone really just preserves the viability for the landowner. It lets their parcel keep its potential to be used commercially. And if these types of areas where it could go either way, it could either be commercial or it could be residential, it does not require them to come back before this board again for another rezoning when it changes hands and wants to be used for a different use, it allows it to kind of be in that flex area, which in this part of the city is appropriate.
Thank you.
Any other questions? All right, let's vote. Motion passes 7-0. All right. Number 12, resolution number 2039, a resolution to amend the City of Tullahoma FY26 operating budget. Motion and a second. Mr. Quick.
We received a request from Tullahoma City Schools to amend their budget. They approved this amendment on October 21st of this year for an additional $434,898 that they will use from their reserves in order to complete work at Jack T. Fair renovation project.
So this is a resolution to amend the Tullahoma City Schools operating budget. So we have a typo in the agenda.
No, it actually will go into ours
Oh, yeah.
at the end, that's why it's not ours.
Okay, so it does amend our, so how does it amend our budget?
Their budget is part of ours that we pass the ordinance.
Okay, okay. All right, do we have motion? We have motion second. Any discussion on this one? Looks like routine housekeeping. Is that correct, Sue? Yeah, all right. Let's vote. Motion carries 7-0. Next item, item number 25-132, request from the Community Engagement Officer to accept the invoice agreement with Plate of Peas Productions for $4,290 and authorize the mayor to sign agreements to secure the presentation dates. Do we have a motion and a second? We do.
This is a request from the 250 celebration that we're looking at for next year. I've asked Lyle Russell to come and present this to you.
Thank you.
Sure. The committee that I got together, there's several of us that have met at 2 different times and put together a list of things that we would like to see. And I proposed this one from a previous conversation I've had with another person. We tried to get this a couple of years ago, but it just didn't seem to fit with any of the budgets at that time. But with this America 250 celebration that we're working on, this particular event is specific to Tullahoma. I happen to bring my copy of the book with me. The Ghost Army was something that happened out at Camp Forest during World War II. For those who may not be familiar with the story, it was a big con. They had inflatable people, equipment, tanks, all that stuff that they painted to make it look real to be a force multiplier during World War II. And it worked. It fooled the Nazis, and they thought that our forces were bigger than they were. And it's an extraordinary story. And this book is considered to be, this and the documentary is considered to be kind of the gold standard on that story. And because it's Tullahoma-centric, the members of the committee and I that met thought it would be a great idea to have Mr. Byer come down and tell this story. And he actually has one of the tanks that we're trying to get him to bring as well. So I thought that would be pretty cool. So we've worked out a preliminary plan with South Jackson pending approval tonight to host the event there. And he's also available for a second night that we may offer to AEDC, depending on how their committee works out. They haven't met yet, but they're planning on doing something similar to what we're doing. So this would be a great opportunity for us to partner with them and touch on a chunk of Tullahoma history that happened during World War II.
Thank you.
Quick question.
Yes, sir.
Is there any charge for this to the citizens, or this is just the citizens paying for this? I mean, if I go to the event, is there a recoup, or is
If it's approved tonight, South Jackson and I will work that out because they've agreed to host it. One of the concerns, of course, they're going to incur some expense with cleaning and so on. They're going to have to pay their sound folks to come in. So there may be a nominal fee, but it will not be intended to be a profit-making venture. It'll be to cover their costs.
Yeah, I just, city recovers its costs. I don't have a problem.
Sure.
Any other questions? Very interesting. Appreciate that.
Thank you.
Let's vote. That motion carries 7-0. Next item, item number 25-133, request from the police department to surplus 4 vehicles, a 2011 Ford Explorer, 2003 Chevy Blazer, 2000 Toyota sedan, and a 1999 Lincoln Town Car. We have a motion and second for that. Staff report.
Yeah, these are surplus vehicles. As you'll see, one is a patrol unit that we've had. It's become very obsolete. And then the other three vehicles are from seizures that have occurred with our police department. So these vehicles, they will be surplused, and we're going to put them back in the reserve account or the drug fund.
I think that answers the question we had last time.
Yeah, it
Did you
does.
ask
Yeah,
that last
that's it.
time about do we ever surplus any vehicles? There it is
Yeah,
on the
glad-
agenda.
Glad to see it.
Any questions on this? Not, let's vote. 7 yes. Motion carries. Item number 25-134, a request from the police department to approve the 2025 SRO retention bonus and authorize mayor to sign the school resource officer's voucher and related documents. We have a motion and second on that. Staff report.
Again, this is a grant that we've seen a couple of times before. It's an $800 bonus that would be provided to each one of our SROs through the state of Tennessee. We are asking for your approval of that again this year, and we have to have this submitted back. I believe it's on Friday the 12th, if I'm not mistaken. I also want to say a special thanks to Chase Sons. One of the things that has impressed me most about Chase is his attention to finances and attention to trying to run a tight ship as far as surplusing and using grants and those types of things. We've seen where they've had selling of ammunition and guns and whatnot. He's done a really good job when it comes to trying to save the city as much money as they can, either through actions that he can take or through grants such as this. So I just want to again say thank you to Chase for his financial management in his position.
Thank you. Any questions on this one? Not, let's vote. That motion carries 7-0. Item 25-136, a request from the city administrator to approve the new City of Tullahoma organizational chart as required by the City of Tullahoma Municipal Code for, I'm sorry? What did I skip? Oh, I'm sorry. Yeah, that's the most important one tonight. Sorry. I wrote a note next to it and thought I'd covered it. Item number 25-135, a request for the city administrator to confirm the appointment of Eric Pierce as Director of Public Works. We have a motion second on that. Staff report on that.
So this is a bittersweet agenda item for me. Again, as I had mentioned earlier, Butch Taylor has served this community so well and has been the face of the community to so many people, not only through his Department of Public Works, but just overall throughout the community. I don't know anyone who I have ever had that has come to me and had anything but praises for Butch and the work that he has done. But he has decided it's time for him to be a full-time granddaddy, and I can't blame him for that. So what we did is this. We followed the personnel policy, which states that we would post the position internally, which we did, and we received one candidate. The reason we post internally is to seek to identify any potential current employees who have the qualifications that would fill this position. So Eric Pierce was the one. We interviewed him on November 19th. Alderman Glick was a part of that interview panel. And Eric did exactly as I thought he would. He did an outstanding job. In fact, I think, one of the comments or one of the challenges I presented to the interview board at the end, as we discussed, is I said, give me one reason why we wouldn't hire Eric for this position. And I remember Alderman Glick saying, if we don't hire him, we'll have a mutiny on our hand at Public Works. That just that's attributable to Butch and to Eric and the kind of workforce that they've created, the environment, and just a family over there. So I am very excited to bring to you Eric Pierce for consideration. I think his past experience and what he does now and what he will do for us in the future, I think is exactly what Tullahoma needs to meet the demands of the next 10 to 20 years.
Mr. Glick.
Yeah, I would like to say as part of that interview panel and also someone that has worked with and known Eric working for the city for several years, that he's a very good choice for this position. Also, I want to let everybody know that he has a lot of experience other than just working for the city of Tullahoma or other cities. He's also worked on the construction end in the private industry, so he's bringing that to us as well. So he has a lot of understanding of that. I think he's very solid with budgets and what things cost and negotiating the best deal for the city and being able to spot what the best way to do something and to save money on it. And then just to go back to a little story back when I was working at Parks and Recreation and Eric was hired. I don't remember how long ago that was, maybe 6, 7 years ago, how long has he worked here? And after I had the chance to work with Eric on the first couple of projects we worked, and I remember telling my staff, I said, wow, that's the best thing that's happened to Public Works in years. And that's no bad reflection on anybody else at Public Works, but it is a good reflection on Eric and what he brought the city and what he'll continue to bring the city. So I wholeheartedly support this appointment.
Thank you. Any other comments? Mr. Byrd?
I just wanted to thank Butch for his years of service. It's always good things that we hear about you. So thank you for that. And after meeting several times with Mr. Pierce, I have no doubt that he will, it's big shoes that you left, but I think he'll fill them well.
Yeah. Anything else? Let's vote then. 7 yes. Congratulations, Mr. Pierce.
Yeah. If the board will allow, I would like Eric to be able to come up and
Yes,
just address
please.
the board for a second. I also want to say thank you to his wife Lori, who is in the back there, for coming tonight.
Thank you. I appreciate it. And yes, I have some very big shoes to fill, and I'm losing a great man. I've worked off and on with Butch for almost 20 years through different cities and different meetings and everything, and I'm going to really miss working with him and working for him. But we have a great public works department with the city, and I look forward to taking the lead. And I look forward to working great city administrator and great leadership that we have here. Thank you.
Thanks. Congratulations.
I think, just to close, I think the board realizes there's only one thing that Eric does not bring to the job is a Southern accent. But we're working on that daily with him.
I don't think it's ever going to go anywhere.
We're trying. We're trying.
I was just about to ask, where are you from?
Yeah.
I can tell.
Lost.
Oh, no, it's not going anywhere.
Not going anywhere. All right, item number 25-136, request from the city administrator to approve the new City of Tullahoma org chart as required by City of Tullahoma Municipal Code 4-101, Table of Organization. Do we have a motion second on that? We have a motion and a second. Discussion.
So this is basically, the board had asked me to come back with the updated diagram, org chart, which I have done to meet the request of BOMA.
Okay. Any discussion? Mr. Byrd?
I did have a question. There's still an additional role on the chart. There's an additional HR officer position.
So the way that is set up is, if you'll remember, Lori actually has two roles. One is the city recorder, the other is the human resource officer. So one person is overseeing both roles.
Would it be better suited to show that as one position, or is this the creation of a new position?
This is not the creation of a new position. This position was created, I believe, maybe your first board meeting that we had. This is basically showing who reports to whom. So from a city recorder standpoint, it is my understanding the city recorder now reports to the Board of Mayor and Alderman. However, from an HR officer perspective, that position still reports to me.
So I guess I would just comment the city recorder has always reported to the Board of Mayor and Alderman, so it's not a new thing other than the fact that we weren't aware of it because apparently none of us read the city charter, including me. I have, go ahead.
Excuse me, was this already on? This position was previously shown on our chart?
It was previously shown as city recorder / HRO, human resource officer.
Why are we changing it?
The way it's my understanding, unless the board can explain to me otherwise, the table of organization shows a reporting line.
Yeah.
Who reports to whom? It's my understanding that the Board of Mayor and Aldermen has the city recorder reporting to them. The human resource officer portion, which Lori fills, still reports to me.
Was that before? If we're changing this, where she was slashed,
What you would have seen, you would have seen in a previous organizational chart where it shows HR officer, it would have shown city recorder / HR officer or HRO, and then the city recorder would not have been pulled out and been on the same line item as the police chief, city administrator, and city recorder.
This is historically how it's been.
They're just separated.
Yeah.
yeah, but I guess the question to me is it puts the HR person underneath.
That's how it
The,
always has been.
It's
Under-
always been that way?
Yeah,
The HR
HR always,
Okay.
When we had an HR director, that's the way
I
it was.
understand that. Okay, just wanted to clarify it.
Any other comments or questions?
I have a comment.
Yes, sir.
Just a question more than a comment, but since we have determined, that both the chief of police and the city recorder report directly to the board of mayor and aldermen, and looking at this, looks to me like we ought to have direct lines from the board of mayor and aldermen to those two positions, and then dotted lines between the city administrator and them, just as we do for the airport manager and the TADC director.
The reason you have the TAEDC board and the airport authority director with that dotted line is because TAEDC is a separate entity in itself as well as the airport. As the way that this is set up now, it shows the police chief, city recorder, and city administrator, all three answer to the board of mayor and aldermen.
I think this looks correct,
Yeah,
is the
it
way
makes
I
sense to me.
understand the,
Yeah,
It looks good.
I do have a little concern with one person answering to two different people at the same time. I don't know what to do about
I'm
it.
sorry, say that again?
I have a little concern with one individual answering to two different chains of command. I'm a little confused of what to do about it on an org chart, but that
Yeah.
concerns me.
it would
I
be
I
what,
brought that up whenever we were considering that position as a dual position. But, it,
As of now.
well,
it's
back at
two
the
different-
time, oh, sorry, Sir Nobia,
No,
go ahead.
as of now, it's two different positions.
that's right.
That's what I'm saying.
And so as,
But we have one person answering to two different chains of command at the same time. I'm a little concerned about how that will work out.
I think
It's worked out pretty well.
when we did when we made Lori both city recorder and HR, it was when we thought that she reported through the
Exactly.
city administrator.
So it made sense.
The only way to rectify, I think this is the way to rectify it as far as an organizational chart goes. The only other way to rectify it would be to change that whole situation, that she didn't do both, but I don't see any reason to change that. I guess she would take her direction directly from the city administrator on HR issues, to whereas she would take her instruction directly from the board of mayor and aldermen as to city recorder issues. I know it's a little clumsy,
Why-
but that's the way it,
Why can't it be cooperative, just like it is with the police chief and the city recorder?
You mean for the HR?
Because the
It's
HR.
the same person.
The HR person does not, the HR function of the Tullahoma City does not report to the Board of Mayor and Aldermen. The HR function reports to the city administrator.
And
That's the way this organizational chart has it. But I kind of like the idea of the HR officer reporting to the board.
but we hadn't made any changes.
This is how it's historically been, and unless we go and change that officially, this is it.
yeah, this is the way, this is to reflect the way it is now. It's not
Okay.
saying that we wouldn't do anything in the future, although I would say that I think that would be a mistake. I think the city administrator needs to be over HR and the because it's staff as a whole, and that's the way it's lined out in the ordinance, I think.
I'm not sure, and perhaps Mr. Worsham could explain that. If the city, if HR was then to report to the Board of Mayor and Aldermen, would that require a charter change? In the charter, it talks about the police chief
No, that doesn't require a charter change because the charter doesn't have anything, it has no reference to HR people at all. That's more of a modern development than when our charter was enacted in 1903. So there's no reference to that at all in our charter. So that wouldn't require a charter change, but it would require an ordinance change if you want to change this, just like this requires a change and 2 votes on this to change the ordinance relative to this particular charter.
Okay.
And it's not
But,
unusual.
but it does reflect the way things are in this interim period while we're looking for the possibility of some other arrangements for HR services.
And it's not unusual for someone to have a dual role and answer to 2 different people. Like you said, it does make it, somebody said it does make it a little clumsy. It can.
Right.
But
it's not unheard of, yeah.
It's not unheard of.
Yeah.
Any other discussion? Let's vote. Passes 5-2. All right. Where was I at? So our next item, I think, was the airport. Is that correct? So. You put that one last. Okay, so the next item then is the question on the planning commission appointments. All right. We have a motion on that. A motion second for discussion. All right. Ms. Wilson, you want to discuss?
As I've kind of alluded to before, is really the purpose of this is just, because obviously these BOMA meetings are for us to conduct business, but it's also really to keep the public informed about, how we, what goes into making the decisions, just so that it's transparent for everyone. And with other boards, the candidates would typically come before the board and tell about themselves, and I think that would be a good practice for the planning commission, the 2 vacant seats that we have for any and all candidates to come present before the board so that we can, hear who has put in for it.
Let me just ask a question. This is technical. Who has the authority to appoint people on that board? Is it a board or the mayor? Or
It's the mayor, and that's by the state of Tennessee.
okay, so the mayor has the total authority. So really, out of courtesy, is what you're virtually
think so.
asking these.
Mhm.
Yeah, I think that's a good
I
idea.
think not only courtesy to the board, courtesy to the public.
To the public mainly, yeah.
Yeah.
So I have a couple comments about that. I guess if that's true, then my first question is, shouldn't we make this apply to all appointments to all boards?
Oh, absolutely.
Because, well, that's not what this one says then. Airport Authority, we've had people voted on that don't even show up for the meeting because they were out of town or whatever. Are we going to set it up where that somebody that's unable to attend a board meeting is unable to be appointed?
I'm sorry,
Well, you're saying they have to come present before a decision is made.
they don't have to. I mean, but I think that any candidate that would like to come and present.
But this says they have to. This says, this is limiting the power of the mayor to appoint in the sense that I can't make an appointment until this occurs,
Okay,
according
well,
to this language.
That we could make that to not has to, but
Well,
could.
I actually think everybody that wants to be on a board should have to come to the board and present.
Yeah.
I mean, because far too often on these boards that we appoint people to, they just take it as a little status symbol or whatever that I'm on so-and-so board, and then they don't really do the work of being on that board and really overseeing and doing the job. These things are jobs to do.
I'm sorry.
And they're
but
not just,
I can't-
excuse me, I'm talking. I think these are jobs to do, and it's important. So I think the first part of doing that job would be coming and as a courtesy to the board and the city of Tullahoma people is coming and presenting and telling people why that they want to do this job. And I think we're very liberal about changing a meeting around or whatever if certain people can't be there or something, that it's, they couldn't arrange otherwise. So I think we could arrange. I think it's a good thing that people should go.
And I'm not opposed to to making this a standard procedure for all positions, you know, for anything that we have, airport or otherwise.
Well, let me ask you a question in regards to that. There's some board appointments, for example, the TUA board, of which I'm appointed to. Do I need to come interview in front of the mayor and alderman?
No,
to-
because that's an
Because you're the
appointment.
board.
That's
It's-
not,
well, that's what he's doing now. He has the right to appoint. Not that I'm opposed to coming, but it would be the same position you'd
I
be in
think
or
it-
whatever
I-
the board.
I mean, we're obviously elected officials. I think that's a little bit different than who we're bringing in from the public.
You've already been through your interview process. so,
Right.
you know.
The
Well, I've been
public,
through
I
the
think the
interview
public has a
by-
right to know, like, who we're choosing for boards. And I think it's a courtesy, and as Alderman Glick has also stated, that, you know, these are things, these are positions that should be not just a status thing, but should be taken seriously.
I think the status is eliminated when a person applies. You know, we have to, and there's an application process, which I'm assuming that we all or all of them have to go to. I think it's a good idea to have them appear, but to make it mandatory, I have a little issue with that because I think it supersedes the mayor's authority. But I certainly agree that if a person is interested enough in it, it would be nice for them to present themselves before the board. That's my.
Just a couple comments, if you all don't mind. I don't know that it's even a requirement that people fill out a form. I think we ask people to do it as a courtesy and it helps everybody, but is it actually a part of our ordinances that someone has to fill out a form to be appointed?
Well,
don't know.
that's how we historically
I understand
have
that.
done that.
I
So
understand
I
that,
think
but-
that's a good system.
I have to respond to one thing Mr. Glick said, that we have a lot of people on boards that don't take it seriously. I don't know anybody on any of our boards that doesn't take it seriously, and I think that's not a fair statement to the good serving members of the boards that we have. The other thing I'm concerned about this, and if we want to do this, I'll abide by it. But I do have a concern that there are times when this would actually cause delays in appointments where they're needed, because we're going to have to wait for a board meeting before it can happen. Like right now, if we needed a board appointment either last month or this month, and we couldn't, identify that person right away, we're going to have to wait an entire extra month to make that appointment. And I do think it's somewhat a challenge to the mayor's authority in this particular case. If you want to make a motion to modify it for all board appointments, I might support that, but I'm not inclined to. But I certainly don't think it's right to pick out one particular board. I think in the case of the mayor's appointments, I've been appointed to the planning commission in the past when I was a citizen, and typically mayors go and identify someone that they think would be a good candidate. And now if that happens, we're encouraging multiple people to come only to be told no when it's an individual appointment. It's not a vote. No, they're not trying to persuade anybody when they're at the podium. And as far as transparency, I think when the mayor announces his person he's appointed, that's pretty transparent. It's not like we appoint people in secret. So that's my comments.
I'll make one other comment too. I also am concerned about being a detriment of a person willing to serve, that are willing to do it, but don't want the publicity of doing it. I've seen that backfire in regards to when the school board was once appointed by the mayor and then changed to an elective. There were people who would have served on it as an appointee, but wouldn't do it in regards to an elective. So that's kind of my feeling. I think the process or requesting a person to come, I think is a good idea, but requiring it, I would be opposed to.
It was my understanding historically, we open positions, boards up to the citizens typically would fill out a citizen participation form, and so that they could tell what their qualifications are. And we do this with other boards already. So to me, it just makes sense that it would be no different for the planning commission, that the public would be able to see.
Just to clarify,
who-
we do invite people to fill out forms for the planning commission, and most of them do.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Historically, that's how we've done that.
I think it's a good.
Is by
procedure.
I'm
filling
not
out
saying it's a
forms.
bad practice.
Yeah.
I'm just saying I didn't know that it was
Yeah, I
required.
think I just think it's a good first step to come up here and present yourself to the board and the people of Tullahoma if you're going to serve on a board serving the people of Tullahoma. So I think it should be done this way for every board. And I don't take it as a slight to your authority. That is, if it's a mayor's appointment, it's a mayor's appointment. It's just, it might be the last thing that helps you in your decision when you're making the appointment is when they come up and present themselves. So
Yeah, I'm not defending it as my authority. I'm defending it as the mayor's authority in general.
right. Well,
Future mayors as well.
That's what I mean. I don't think it, when I said you, I mean
I
the
understand.
mayor, the
I understand.
position.
I just want to clarify.
It's not at all because it's the mayor's appointment. It's no one else's, but it's not a bad thing for the people to see who is going to be serving, who the mayor is appointing. So I think it's a good thing for them to present themselves.
Yeah, and it is, I think it is a good practice. I mean, you know, putting in an application, citizens participation form is great, but, you know, often it's really nice to actually hear from the candidates, I think, themselves.
I'd
And
be
we do
more
it for other
inclined,
boards, which really helps kind of.
yeah, I'd be more inclined to
Whatever you all do about this, and I have no comment about the wisdom of this or not. We need to do it by resolution, so there'll be a permanent record of what you've decided if you want to do this, not by simply a motion.
Okay.
Yeah, I would have no issue in this except for the term require.
Yeah, I'd like to weigh in there, the word require, it kind of gets into like contract language of should versus shall. And that's kind of what I have issue with too, is making it something that it's a hard set rule that they must show up in order to be appointed. Yeah. So that, and I don't want to amend your motion, but that's my only thought is that request or some other word might make that a little bit less hardened.
I'm sorry.
Yeah, I think it's good as a courtesy if they want to come and present, but I also think the board should be well-rounded and represent the four corners of Tullahoma is the best way I can say it. And by saying that people need to come, I think it would eliminate, or some people may feel like they're not qualified when they may actually be very good. Their ideas may work well for this board. So I think changing the wording, like they said, may come, but not making it a requirement. But also, it needs to be a very well-balanced board.
Yeah.
Because if we get into, you know.
State law even says that, actually.
Right. So that's my take on it.
Thank you. So
I could
I
amend
was about to say,
my
is there going to be a
amendment.
request for an amendment here or not?
Yeah, I could amend my amendment for, instead of motion to require, it could be a request.
Do we have to vote on this first?
So, yeah, so that was Mr. Worsham's comment was it needed to be, would you say a resolution? Would that be an ordinance change? So we need it written in that form, or do we need to type it up and bring it to the next meeting, or do we gonna do that live here, sitting here? Okay,
If you were to pass a motion to prepare a resolution to reflect the motion, that would be appropriate.
okay.
Yeah.
Now, the only other
So let's do that.
question I would have, we're virtually stating one appointed board, the planning commission.
Right.
So we get one that we're questioning it. I wouldn't have a problem with changing that to, instead of just the planning commission, any appointed board.
Yeah, I had said that earlier, but this was just in my mind, because there's 2 vacant seats that are currently open, and most of our boards do this already. So it's just something that was a current issue that I was bringing to the board's attention.
So would you change that to just request for all boards?
Yes.
And then, good point.
Yeah.
Does that include the housing authority?
Yes.
I think we do that already.
No.
Yeah,
No?
Mayor's, housing authority is the mayor's appointment by federal law.
I think it would be a good thing for them to present as well. I
Just
think just all of them, yeah.
Yeah, I
Since
think
we
all
changed it
boards.
to request.
So that's another one where it can be difficult to find candidates that are willing to
It
step
could be.
forward.
Because one of the members
It's required.
is a residence that's required, and the way society is today, you know, people may not feel comfortable
I understand that.
saying that, you know, which, you know, good people live everywhere. They just
Right.
can't help
I
their
agree.
circumstances. So I'm not being judgmental in no way. But again, you know, as a society, we've made people feel very uncomfortable or place judgment on them if they say they live in a certain housing area. So again, that's putting people on the spot, making them feel very uncomfortable.
I think by the change in Alderman Wilson's motion to say request, we request that they come, but if they were uncomfortable, they wouldn't really have to. We weren't, because we took out the word require.
Yeah, take that out and make it, if you want to, make it all boards.
Broader to the all boards.
Instead of
I
just.
think it just makes it falls like better rule if it, what's good for one is
Mr. Worsham?
good for all.
I don't know who else out here can't hear most of what y'all say. I think I understand that these microphones speak to the TV public.
Right.
But not the people in this room. I can't hear a lot of your conversation, maybe because I'm partly hard of hearing. Do y'all hear everything's going on back here?
We need,
Other
we-
people said that. We can't hear you because you talk to each other, but you don't talk to us, and you're talking to the microphone.
appreciate it.
Can
Mr.
y'all
Worsham.
hear me?
Yes, sir.
Yes.
Well, you can project your voices so we can hear you too, if you don't mind.
Yes, sir.
I don't think it's appropriate to require the mayor's appointments to come before this board. He should have the latitude to appoint whomever he wishes. For those of you that will be appointing this as a board, it's appropriate for you to select those in any manner you want and have interviews or whatever you want to do. That's just my opinion about that.
As a quick
There's
side
no
note,
law about that one way or the other. It's for you to decide.
as a quick aside, can we take a note to take an action, investigate what it would take to get some speakers in this room?
Yes.
We have already undertaken that. There are two pieces to this puzzle. We have one puzzle or one piece that's already in place. We have a second piece
Okay.
that should be here next week, but heavily by the end of this week. So we are definitely addressing it.
Great.
We had expected to have that already in place, but the second part somehow was on a back order.
I get that comment from citizens about twice a week, so thank you, the ones that are sitting in the room, and I appreciate that, because I've sat back there and I understand. It's easy to forget when you're sitting up here. All right. So have you reworded your
Yes.
motion?
It's for all boards, and then under the requested action, motion to request.
So, and this is a motion to request drafting of a resolution,
Yes.
because it's got to be presented. Okay.
So are you amending the motion to require a resolution?
Yes.
Yeah. Do you want to withdraw your previous motion so we don't have to vote on the amendment?
Right.
And then we could just bring the resolution to the next meeting?
No, I don't want to get into what we got into last time. Either
Let's
we've
just
got to
vote on
vote
the
to
amendment,
amend
yeah,
hers,
let's-
or if you'll just withdraw your previous motion and substitute this one. She didn't make the motion? I'm sorry.
I made the motion.
Yeah. Can you withdraw the first motion?
Okay.
Just tell us that you're gonna,
Yeah, I will.
all right. Now you
With-
can make a new motion with this new
Or
language.
withdraw.
Right, so my new motion would be to create a resolution with this, with the request for it being all boards rather than just the planning commission. And then under the requested action, the motion to request rather than require.
Did you hear? Did you hear that? The motion that, we were putting a motion forward now that is to request all boards to come present before the city. It's not require, it's request.
All potential
All-
appointees. to-
All official appointees
All right.
to all boards.
Okay. All official appointees.
I'm not used to yelling.
Yeah, we need a second for that?
Okay, so
All
we're
right.
voting on the motion to amend.
No.
Oh.
No, we withdrew the original motion. This is just a new
Oh, this
motion.
is just a-
I'm sorry, did I? Yeah. I was trying to avoid having to take two amendment votes. Should have just went ahead and voted that way.
Yeah.
Been faster now.
Yeah.
Yes. Motion passes 6-1. All right, now we're to Alderman Byrd's report on airport authority, or the airport spill. Is that correct?
Yes, that is correct. I had prepared this. I was just going to read it, and I can also email it to the board once I'm done, after the meeting. The leak was reported at Tullahoma Airport 11 p.m. on October 29th after being noticed by the Vanderbilt Life Flight crew. The Jet A fuel release was caused by a bucket that was hanging off of the sump valve handle, resulting in the valve being roughly 3/4 of the way open. Tullahoma Fire Department and Coffee County EMA were notified and on scene rapidly. Tullahoma Fire Department within 6 minutes to start containment to stop further flow into the stormwater system. Safety and Codes Director Kimbrough was notified and responded and informed that an emergency hazmat cleanup company would be needed. Ozone Environmental Service, OES, was contacted and responded on the scene within 30 minutes. Together, these organizations located where the storm discharge was located. It was determined to be the retention detention pond next to Ascend. Further investigation confirmed that no fuel had left the pond and had not contaminated Rock Creek. Tennessee Department of Environment and Conservation, OES, EMA, and the fire department all confirmed it did not reach Rock Creek. OES took over the operation to begin their containment and mitigation. Currently, about 16,000 gallons of contaminated water and 300 tons of contaminated soil have been removed. That is the majority of the $600,000 cost. And we are still waiting on the final itemized bill, I believe. During that cleanup, the fire department, EMA, and Safety and Codes also made many sweeps of nearby businesses with gas monitors to ensure public safety and to ease the business owners' concerns to keep tensions low. The total release of Jet A was around 895 gallons. After several days of continued cleanup and removal of the contaminated soil, it was determined that roughly 100 gallons of fuel was unaccounted for, and a hypothesis of fuel being trapped in the stormwater network was formed. This was later confirmed by coordinating with TUA to utilize a pipeline camera system. It was confirmed there was a break in the stormwater system, roughly 18 to 20 feet underground. The pipe was located on city property. This led to the excavation of a section of roadway next to the airport to reach the fractured pipe. Since the pipe was installed in the 1950s when the airport was originally built, there was not a gravel underlayment below the pipe, but instead it was a hard-packed natural clay, and the clay created a watertight envelope containing the fuel to a single underground area. We got lucky there. If it had been gravel, it probably would have been much worse. It was also noted the pipe had an elevation issue. The pipe was going slightly uphill, likely due to several decades of soil settling or an improper installation in the 1950s. This elevation issue could have been the cause of the breakage of the pipe. The pipe was replaced The elevation issue was corrected and a manually operated gate valve was installed to stop water flow should a fuel release occur in the future. It has been determined that our insurance policy has an exclusion. It may only pay claims released from a release occurring from a crash, fire, explosion, or collision, or a recorded in-flight emergency causing abnormal aircraft operation. And I believe Mr. Quick is still getting more information on that. There might be an opportunity to add a rider to the airport's insurance through our current insurer or through our fuel provider that would cover any future releases or incidents. The interim airport manager, Ms. Udick, is working on that. And our economic development director, Ms. North, is also working on finding brownfield or EPA grants so that we might not have to use the UDAG funds. The UDAG funds are currently an emergency backup in case there is no other funding available. Currently, TDEC has been happy with the cleanup response and the progress, and will be visiting after the end of the year for a follow-up. OES will continue monitoring soil and water samples for the next 4 to 6 weeks before they give their no further action report. Some other preventative and corrective actions have also been taken. There will be the need to create a spill prevention, control, and countermeasure plan. The possible installation of automated flow gates at the stormwater outlets from all of KTHA property. The placement of spill kits and equipment at the fuel farms and on fuel tanker trucks. The creation of a proper sump procedure for the airport. Additional employee training. And the sump valve has already been replaced with a locking valve that will remain locked when not in use. All of these upgrades will either be handled through the airport budget or through grants. And the root causes contributing to the leak have been compiled from 3 separate incident reports, one from Safety and Codes, one from EMA, and one from the airport. The root causes are human error, lack of training, lack of standard operating procedure, and an easily manipulated valve that did not have a spring-loaded mechanism. It's been hundreds, if not thousands of hours put into this as a cleanup. It's been multiple departments, multiple agencies, and I think, again, we owe thanks to the fire department, to EMA, to OES, to our police department for helping block off the roads, to the airport for their response, to Safety and Codes, and also to economic development for helping find grants. So.
All right. Anybody have any questions about the
Isn't
report?
it true? This is what I was told by someone on the airport authority, that EPA has allocated $500,000 for instances such as this.
I'm not really certain about that one.
Is that true?
Let me ask Kelly North if she'll come up. She and I met earlier today to talk about that. She's focusing on the EPA side of it. I'm still working on working with our contacts in Washington. We've got a couple of hopeful developments there. But Coach, I think she would be able to better address that for you.
So the EPA does have a cleanup grant that just released within the last 2 weeks. We're exploring that as a potential option. The funding ceiling is $500,000. We're also working with the South Central Tennessee Development District to explore the brownfield grants and some EPA funding that they have already been allocated. So the Development District is looking into whether or not they can use the allocation that they have received to support our efforts with the cleanup. And given the critical asset that the airport is to economic development, the airport itself, the industrial park that's associated with it. We're also working with Tennessee ECD, the Tennessee Department of Economic and Community Development, to see if there's any additional funding mechanisms that can support the cleanup effort as well. So we're from the top to the bottom, we're looking into every alternative to avoid using those UDAG loan funds.
Let me add to that also. Hopefully everybody saw the email that I forwarded today. We received communication from our insurance company. We have filed a property damage claim that, if covered, would be $100,000. So we received confirmation that they are looking at it right now. They're going to continue to examine whether that policy would cover or not. So that possibly could be another $100,000.
Thank you.
Anything else?
Seems like all the causes that they came up with seemed like they could be very preventable. Is that correct? From your estimation?
I'm not sure if human error is preventable. Human error, I don't think that's something we can prevent. The lack of training probably could have been.
That's what caused the human error, lack of training, probably.
And that's also something that they are actively working to correct. Our interim airport manager, she's been working quite tirelessly to correct some of these training slips and lack of SOPs. The couple of times I've visited with her, it's very short visits because she's busy.
Any other questions from Alderman Burton? If not, that adjourns our regular meeting. Why don't we recess for about 5 minutes and then come back for our study session?
Okay.